My transition from being religious into being spiritual. So religion to spirituality. So why is it that I left the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? There were a lot of reasons. It all started because I honestly didn't feel welcome when I walked into that building. Being around the people that were there, I didn't feel wanted. I didn't feel like I actually fit in. Apart from that, there were a lot of things that I would question, things that didn't make sense to me, things that didn't click for me. And whenever I asked these questions, I was always told to just read the scriptures and to pray. And I was like, okay, I am reading the scriptures and I am praying, but it's like, the more I read the scriptures and the more I prayed, it's like things weren't adding up for me. Whenever I would try to share my point of view, I got shut down. This was the beginning. Then there was times where I went to the leadership for advice or for just to express myself, and it's like it kind of compares to like in the Catholic religion where you go to like confession and you're able to speak to the leaders and like pour your heart out basically, but it's supposed to stay between you and them. Well, there was evidence where what I had shared was not being kept in that room just between me and said person, said leader. It was not only where certain things that I would say other people would start to say, but it was also proven through other people. Even other people would say that, right? I went through a time where I was awakening spiritually and I was receiving a lot of psychic attacks. And when I tried to go to my leadership for this, low-key I was called crazy and to go to a therapist, really. So I was like, all right. And it wasn't a point in my life where, because I was awakening spiritually, I was already thinking that I was kind of crazy because nobody else was going through these things with the people that were around me. Nobody else was experiencing this. Nobody else was talking about it. So when I became vulnerable and opened up to somebody whom I thought, because they were a little higher up, I thought that I could trust, or I thought would be honest and open with me, it didn't happen. And the way I knew that this leader knew what was going on with me, however, they decided to just keep it hidden because it's not talked about, was because I went to this activity where they brought in another religion, another church, where they would talk about the similarities. And at this event, I experienced another psychic attack. And it was from one of the peoples of the other religion. And during that time, I was like, okay, I thought it was me. I thought it was me, and I was getting anxious, but I felt like I couldn't leave. I felt the need to leave, but I felt like I couldn't leave, like something was holding me there. Again, it was this psychic attack. And after it ended and I did go home, I meditated, I prayed, because I was still like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, because I was in that programming of, oh my God, I was told my whole life that this is the true church, right? During that event, another leader came to me psychically and said, ground yourself, right? And I was like, wait, who is this? What is it that I was just experiencing a lot? And I realized that these two leaders knew what was going on. They intuitively knew what was going on, yet they did not come to me. They just chose to keep it quiet, to I guess save face, or honestly, I don't know. I intuitively knew as well that they knew, and I was like, all right, if this is the type of leadership that's going on, I think that was the thing that set me over the edge, where I was like, all right, that's definitely not what I want to be a part of. If I'm going to be following a leader, then I want this leader to be open, to be honest, to be raw, to be vulnerable, to be open with things like this, spirituality, especially when somebody else that's awakening to these higher frequencies, to these higher vibrations, to be able to guide them and not have them feel like they're crazy. You know, it's validating their experience. That's the kind of leader that I wanted to follow. It's not what I was receiving there. It's not what I was experiencing there. The leaders that were being chosen or that were chosen just weren't resonating with me. This is supposed to be a place where you go to find like-minded people, and I feel like I wasn't surrounded by like-minded people. I was just in search for the truth. I was looking for something more. And while I was in the 1 foot in, 1 foot out, I was getting into spirituality because I was in love with crystals and the energy that they hold and how they made me feel. Honestly, I have like this connection to crystals where I can feel its energy, and I liked it. I was looked at as like this was demonized. Crystals were demonized. Lo and behold, there are crystals in the Bible, but let's do that for another video. I liked crystals. I was getting into tarot, oracle cards, things like that. When I started learning about the opening your third eye and whatnot, like I was doing like things that I can to open my third eye, when little did I know my third eye was already open. It was just attuning to it. That's how my spirituality journey began. I feel like everybody starts that way. It's like the crystals, the tarot, the sage. Little do they know that spirituality comes with the dark night of the soul, which I most definitely went through. It was like hitting rock bottom for me. The more I tuned myself to not only my third eye, but also searching for leaders that were also on this same path, that have gone through what I've gone through or experienced at least somewhat what I have experienced, I started to see myself in a different light. I started to realize, started to understand that I wasn't crazy, that I was just awakening to who I really am. That's not something that the church wants, or at least they're not really open about it, because the way that they speak about things, the way that they preach a lot of things on the outward. Like, for example, there's another reason why I left, because it kind of threw me over the edge as well. It was like during COVID times when the president of like the whole church, Russell M. Nelson, I think it was, or the next one after him, I don't know. He said that we should all get the shot, the COVID shot. And I was like, wait a minute, what? To be safe, to be protected. And I was like, wait, but in the scriptures that they adamantly said, read the scriptures and pray and you'll find your answers. It says that you should keep a healthy body to keep away all disease. So why is it that the president, the top dog of this organization, of this religious group, is advising everybody to get the shot instead of going within and healing what it is, you're healing your body, so that way you don't need any external, okay? And then another thing was, when it came to COVID, I was very against everything that had to do with it, because like the masks, the shot, because it was like, all you need to do really is to heal your body. All right, improve your immune system, boost your immune system, and you can fight off anything, because the body was made perfect. This is what we were taught, that the body is perfect, that the body can heal itself. But they're over here saying, no, you need to do this to protect yourself. You need to do this to protect yourself. Okay, so I was like, whoa. After this old bishop was taken off, then the new bishop was put on, it was like the same energy, a different vessel, because they didn't keep things to themselves, right? They would talk about it with other people, including their wives, which is something that they weren't supposed to do. And of course, the wives would talk about it with the family, and this is how the gossip spread around in the church. But anyways, he said, if my president gets the shot, I'm getting the shot. And that was like, whoa. That was like a whoosh for me, because so you're telling me if your president jumps off the cliff, you're jumping off the cliff too, just because he said God told him he's gonna fly? Right? Sounds a little crazy, don't it? So that's why I was like, whoa. Because why are we being taught to do what somebody else outside of us says, another human, instead of the God that we have within, right? Because we have the Holy Spirit that's within us. This is what we're taught. This is what we're told. So why are we following the lead of somebody outside of us instead of searching for an answer within? So that was like it was like a whole domino effect of like things that just kept not clicking, it was just like a no for me. And in the end, I ended up leaving because I gave a talk. It was the last talk that I gave, which I think I'm gonna share as my second video in this series. I'm gonna do a whole series about this. If you wanna follow along, subscribe, hit the like button. I'm gonna talk about the similarities about this religion with spirituality and how it's much deeper than what they're actually saying. I gave this talk, and it was like it was kind of like a different point of view of what they expected. And I did the talk in 2022, and she was the second counselor of the general presidency of the Relief Society. And it was and we are the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's the talk that I gave. But the way that I gave this talk was for a deeper understanding of the surface level things that we're taught. So I went like a level deeper with it. First of all, while I was giving my talk, they were trying to cut me off. Like it's like time, like other people got to give talks. I'm like, first of all, with things that are like this, when people are giving talks, it's because the Spirit is talking through you, okay? And the Spirit wants you to express these things, which is why it puts you up there in the first place. This is what they believe. This is what we're told, right? But they were here like cutting me off, like, all right, you need to go. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna say everything that I need to say because it was put in me to say it. And while there were some people that were like, wow, that was a nice talk, it's like others looked at me like, oh, she's lost. She's completely confused. She's so wrong. I understand that we may not all have the same point of view, but also in the church, we're taught not to judge, not to criticize, not to hate, you know? And it was like the people that were there, that's what they were full of. And while I know a church is not somewhere healed people go, it's like a hospital where sick people go to get healed, I feel like most of the people that went just to go, almost like as an escape, to say, oh, I'm doing my best to communicate and to stay in contact with God. But it was all surface level. Like, it was just the Sunday. Everything that came in one ear went out the other. They were full of the Holy Spirit that Sunday during that talk. And then once they stepped out the church, whoosh, it flew right on out. And I experienced a whole lot of backlash, and like, it was like undercover hate, like undercover, that passive aggressive type. And I was just done with it. I don't need to deal with this. If anything, I can continue learning on my own, because I was already connected to my own spirit on my own. Like I didn't need an external source, an external validation. And so my journey into spirituality began, into not needing to follow rules, but being who it was that I wanted to be because I wanted to be. Being closer to God because that helped me find peace, because that helped me find my self-love. not going to a place where they put rules that you have to follow or you're going to be condemned. Like, if you don't follow these rules, you're going to hell. I wasn't built for rules, which is why the whole questioning, I'm so grateful that I am the way that I am, because my nature is like to rebel, to not follow rules. Like, if you tell me to do something, especially in a where you think you're higher than me, better than me or something, I'm not gonna do what you tell me to do. In fact, I'm gonna do the opposite. I'm just built that way. So that's why every time with these rules that were set, I would always question them. Why do we have to do this? Why do we have to do that? Like, what's the real reasoning? I need to know, other than God said so. God gotta have a reason, right? God has a reason for everything. Everything always happens for a reason. And I'm grateful for that part of myself, because that has led me to where I am in my deeper inner standing of myself and of the world around me. Those are the reasons why I left the church. Although there's probably more, but those are the reasons that are coming to mind right now. And like I said, remember to like and subscribe if you want to continue following along on this journey, because I'm going to be talking about the correlations of both religion and spirituality, at least this religion, and what I've learned and how I understand everything. And always remember, be intentional.